welcome back YouTubers and all my worm whisperers, my worm nerds, etc. Today, episode is going to be on how to start a worm farm. Since I sell worms, hawksbury worms, I have a lot of people ask me how do I set up the bin. Today we're going to cover all the top 5 things. So we've got moisture, feed, prepare your bins before you get the worms off me or others. Most important thing. Now, later on in this video today, this episode today, I'll be giving a gift out. Okay, and I'll give some worms away, 1,000 worms. And they're going to ask a certain question. You have to answer that question in the comments. And if you're the first one to get it right, as long as you're in Australia, I'll send them postage free, worm free. You get your nice worms off me, red wigglers. So, hope everyone's been well and good. So, before I start this video today, I'll keep it short as I can. I'd like to say a big thank you to Karen from Evergreens Gardens, allowing me to go and do a worm school there for a hungry bin, set up a hungry bin and show staff what to feed them, what not to feed them, show my knowledge. Much appreciated. I had a fun day, and everyone learned a little bit. We all learn. Now, saying that, I got gifted some stuff, which probably saying, Darren, why are you wearing this vest for? Or apron, sorry, not a vest. This was issued to me by the team Evergreen Care. As you can see, it's a big happy worm. Looks like he's had too much energy drinks. And you got on the bottom, you got Wormy Fun. And then right on the bottom here, bit of a crazy worm. Bit of a crazy worm there. Not too sure who makes these or anything like that, but I thought I'd wear it today. It's just to say thank you, big thank you to Karen and team for allowing me to do that. Also got some gloves and a Bunnings hat, etc. But being so hot in the shed, I'm not going to put it all on. So that's my apron for this show today. All right, let's get into it. Now, first thing before you even get your worms, you order your worms, you have to get your bedding right. Now, these are 2 types of bins here. I have myself. I don't sell bins. I buy them elsewhere, second hand, etc. Now, you got a small worm farm here, small worm farm with 3 tier, 3 level. Okay, you got 3 levels here, or 2 levels. Yep, 2 levels, not 3 levels. Sorry, I think you're missing a level on here. Now that's good for inside. That one being inside good, etc. This one's called a can of worms. You Bunnings and big stores sell them. A lot bigger, a lot more room if you've got more worms, if you've got a bigger family, more food, bigger worm farm. If it's just yourself, you don't need anything bigger than this. Okay? Now, I'm just going to show you today the steps, what I do, and what you should do. Okay. Now, whilst you're waiting for the worms to turn up after a couple of days, etc., you'll get your stuff ready. So you can go use horse manure, aged horse manure, cow manure, etc., all manures. Chook manure, be very careful because it heats up. Once it hits moisture, the microbes start again. And if you put them in that, you'll burn the bum out of the worms, okay? you want pre-composted stuff. So you put it in there and then you're right to go. So today I'll show you. So if I'm getting my worms in, say today, etc. Now you have two or three tiers or levels, I call them. This is what I've learned, easy way. Everyone's got 10 different ways. This is what's worked for me. Okay. When you first get it, you don't need 3 levels. You can use 3 levels if you want to, but to start off the proper way, you don't need to. So I'll put this one over here. That leaves single level. Even if you do it here, just leave one single level. The bottom layer is where the water comes out of. The next layer is food layer. Sometimes you want a food layer, and then you want a compost level, and the next one you want the food to drop on. It's up to yourself how you have it. Now you see inside here, you got the tap runs out there. People probably know this already. This is the people who don't know. Okay, moisture comes down, water comes down. All the food, when it breaks down, will leak water. They all have water, moisture in it, okay? This is why food waste costs more to get rid of than normal waste, because it's all full of water. All that'll drip down and it'll come out into the tap. It'll come in here, right? Now, what I do, I normally put some small rocks, pebbles on the bottom here. And what that does, when the stuff drops out of here, all the compost drops out of here into the bottom, it doesn't block the tap. I put rocks around the bottom so it won't block the tap, okay? And also it's a safety thing, so if you put that on and you put the lid on, somehow your kids get in there, or whoever gets in there puts too much food in there and it heats up, and they get the lid on and they can't, and the lid's on, and then worms can't get away, they cook alive. What this does is allow for them to escape down, to sit in the water or sit under a rock, under the rocks, and the heat's above them. So it'll save some of them. Okay, but if you have nothing in here, the whole thing's just going to be, it's going to heat up. Okay, that's the pointer for me for today. Right, now another pointer. This tap, I'll leave mine open. Okay, at the moment you can see it doesn't have anything in it. It's display purpose only, display thing only. The water, and what happens if the people overwater it? Kids keep putting water. They keep putting stuff in there, okay? The water will flow out into the bucket. You can have a small bucket underneath it, on the floor. This is not normally on there, it's on the floor. You have a smaller bucket, and each day you can come out and you just tip the bucket out. That way it doesn't fill up and smell. A lot of people don't have time to muck around, so it's a good idea, okay? The juice that comes out of there, it's leachate, it's not wormweed, it's leachate, so it's from the vegetables and stuff. It may burn some plants, it may not. If you're worried about it, water it down and put it not on your veggies, but just in a normal grass area or somewhere like that, okay? Now, once you've done that, so step 1, I put the pebbles there, or some type of rock. Allows the worms to go under when it's wet. Leave the tap open, and also what that does, airflow comes up into here, airflow will come up into the worm farm and it winds its way up, and at the top here you see the holes, so the air comes through on the hot day and it'll go out, gives them airflow. We all like airflow, like we come home from work, we want the aircon on, fan on, that's like a worm, okay? Same with this one, they're all the same, we can do the same for worm farms. So you got the lid, and you got the first layer. Right. Okay. Now, I've got just a bucket for display only today. I've got aged leaves, compost. I haven't been in here before, right? So there's leaf mulch, which they love. It keeps moisture, it doesn't go dry. I've got paper. So you can use shredded paper, which everybody has. Cardboard, you get the cardboard, and I just soak it in the wheelbarrow or anywhere overnight. The next day it's like a mulch, it just smashes in your hand. You wring it out, put it in your worm farm. They love it. They love the sugars in there. Any tape, take the tape off if you can. Everybody's got boxes. Everybody likes to order stuff, okay? So now, moisture level. So we've covered compost, aged compost, horse manure, etc., etc. In the comments, if you do get stuck and you want more questions, I'm happy to talk to you and tell you about it, right? But I'll let this soak for a few hours. What you have to do, you want to have it so when you squeeze it, you only have a few drops come out. It's not soaking wet, okay? And then, I haven't put rocks in there at the moment because it's just for the video purposes. So I'll put my first layer on. First layer on here. Okay, you have to push it down hard. Right, now all I do is just spread. All I do is I just squeeze the next one to make sure moisture level. This one's not really wet. The idea of it, you don't want too much moisture where it's going to fill this up, and if you haven't got the tap open, it's going to stink the house out. So I'll keep going through here. This is pretty much, this one hasn't got too much moisture. It's still wringing out a little bit. So what we do, what I'm doing, you're just filling out, you're just filling the level, okay? Squeeze it, get it all out. Great way to get rid of paper. We'll get on the feeding, put the feed in the next round to go. So you're going to squeeze that. So there's a bit of moisture, put that in there. Now this has been pre-composted, so this is not going to heat up. You can go to the store and buy compost in the bag. I've seen people do it, I don't do it, but and then the whole bag you can use, don't need a whole bag for this. But as you can see here, I filled the whole level, okay? Each corner. Don't pack it down, okay? Now, place that back on there. We already have our rocks down here, pebbles, whatever. You can even put wood in there. So all that moisture makes its way down. It'll hit the rocks. It takes a lot of moisture to come out this tap. Down the track, you can put water in there later on and flush it out if you want. But at the beginning, this is just to start the worm farm up, to calm the kids down, the wife, whatever. Because we all get excited about worms. I'm a worm nerd myself, as you can see. So yes. So we put that on. Now, these have these lips here around the side. Okay, they're the stop. When you put them in like that. Okay, when you put the next layer in, you don't want to push down because what happens? This is squash on there, ends up like a brick. The worms can't, no airflow. So all we're going to do, you can just leave this one off and just put the lid for now. That's what I do. Just leave it on there. Done. Okay. We have the compost in there. We have the compost in there. So step one, leave this open. It's up to you. Leave it open, allows airflow to come through the levels as you get bigger levels. Like this one here, you have multiple levels. Some of them are 6 levels. Airflow going through. Then, they're nice and cool. We've got the aircon going. The moisture's right, okay? You're gonna be happy. So, you'll get your worms, okay? And don't forget, as I said, somewhere for the video, I'll be giving a hint. And I will be giving a worms away today to the first person that gets the answer right, only in Australia. So now I'm going to use my imaginary worms in here. So I've got my worms, they deliver the worms, wacko. They'll come dehydrated because depending how far they go, worms are on moisture, they work on moisture. So the more moisture, the better they are. That's why you need good moisture. They'll eat through all this. When you get them to be a bit dehydrated, take a couple of days for them to get the size back, they expand. Okay, so you put them in a nice moisture thing, they get in there, beautiful. They expand, they get the healthy age. You don't want to feed them for the first, day or two. You can if your kid's annoying you and, oh mummy, daddy, I want this, you know, you can feed them, but I rather not. So you'll get your worms, put your worms in the top level. Okay, you'll put your worms in the top level. They don't like light. The light will hit them, they'll go down. They'll migrate down. Okay, they'll settle for the day. We'll put the lids on. Set and forget. Another important thing, weather. Don't put them in the direct sunlight because they'll cook. Put them in the shady area. In the house, under carport, somewhere where it's shady. Now, you have to make sure which way the sun comes up, where you live, which way the sun goes down. Because a lot of people make a mistake, they get it wrong, and in the afternoon, this thing ends up cooking. I've had heaps of people come to me lately. They've went and checked, they're going for holiday, come back, all the worms have died. They'll either left the lid off, because the kids have been playing in it, and the water's gone in. They've had the tap shut, all the levels filled up to the water, they've drowned, okay? Or the heat, they've been direct sunlight and they're cooked, they come out like jerky. Everybody does it, okay? As a worm farmer, I've killed thousands of worms by mistake, okay? This is how we learn. If you don't do, I'm not saying go and kill worms, but if you don't do something wrong, we're not learning. It's a boring world, right? Okay, so moisture, we put the worms in, worms have gone down. Leave them, okay. Now, feeding. Things not to feed them, okay. You don't want dairy, milk, cheeses, any dairy in them, because it won't break down in time. Okay, bigger bins may, but for a kid's bin, no. They will, the smell, you want to keep the flies away. So the flies will come and smell that, and next minute you've got maggots in the bin. There's no way of saying it, nothing worse than opening the thing and maggots running out. Lots of kids will see it and head for the hills and won't come back near the farm again. Dairy, you don't want meat. Any meat, sauce at all, no fish, no meat, don't want that in there. So we've got dairy, meat, fish. Oranges, lemons, limes, anything with acidity in it, because it won't break down in time. And the only way to describe worms to kids for worms with the acidity level, if you have a sore on the inside of your mouth and you have a bit of orange, it stings. That's what the worms go through. So if you come along and you put heaps of kids' oranges from school, boom, 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 the worms got nowhere to go. Okay? Yes, mate, some people might say, oh, I'll just put another layer on it and they can go up there. But then when this food's heating up, heat's got to go up, okay? So then the worms on the next level are heating up. So you're either stinging them or you're cooking them alive. So what you do from there, as I said, no meats, no dairy, acidity, oranges, lemons, limes, don't put in there until later on. If your worm's going good, you may do it, but for now, for beginners, no, you don't want to do it. Now, if you shred your food, I'll be back in a second. I shred food because I've got a bigger worm farm. So I've got a shredder. You see that? That's like heaps of fresh stuff from the restaurant I get, because I have a bigger worm farm. I go through like 50, 60 kilos of food a week. But getting back to the normal household, all you got to do for feeding, if you can shred it down, what it is, the microbes, they come along and eat. The microbes get on the food, right? So the microbes get on this food here, right? Then the worm comes along and eats the microbes. Now, a lot of people think the worms will come along like Pac-Man and eat the food. It doesn't work that way. So the microbes got to break it down first, then they eat the microbes. So the smaller sizes you can cut down your food source, you can use a Ninja, you can use any type of food thing. If you haven't got time for that and you're busy like most of us, you can just cut it down with a knife. Most people have orange pills, etc. No orange pills. Bananas, etc. What you do then, you can't take this layer off. Example, so I come along, I shredded this food, and what you're going to do here, I just move one corner feed them. Now the food's in there. What I do is pick this up, cover that. The reason I cover that, is for flies. If the flies can't smell it, they won't come in. If the flies come in, you're going to get maggots or black soldier flies or fruit flies. They're even worse. Now put that in the corner. Your worms are running around partying, you know, eating like teenagers. And all we do then, we leave it. Okay? That's all we've done. Now they're fed. Worms are fed for today. Whatever sauce you're going to put in there. If you have a bucket or compost bucket in your kitchen, stack it in there for a while. Leave it a week or so, and once a week feed them, and it could be even better. So this week we've done this corner, right? And the next week we do the other corner. Next week we do the other corner, and we keep changing corners each week. By the time that breaks down, the worms are eating that. We put some on this side, then move around. Worms will go to the microbes. Okay. Now, you don't want to put too much. Some people spread it over the top. If you've got that much food waste, yes, I suggest putting two layers. If you think you've got too much scraps, do the same. Bring it out. Put your compost in here. Okay. Then you put your scraps on top. Not a lot. If you've got a lot of volume, put it in there, and then just put the lid on. And the heat will come out of the top. But to play it safe, just do it with a single layer. And as you go along, and you see they're breaking it down. So they break that layer down, and you say, oh, look at all the compost, they're breaking it down in the worm castings. This is nice. They're eating all the bananas, all the good stuff, shredded cardboard, all that stuff. They're all good. Then you come along and you put the next layer. And you do the same again. Compost. Right, put the lid on, start feeding from here. And as you go up each level of the worm farm, in about, say, 2 or 3 months, you'll see yourself, if the bottom layer's all been eaten out, it's all nice and worm castings. All you do then, you take your bottom layer out, swap the next layer to the bottom. Okay, so this one, imagine there has been eaten all out. Okay, and then we'll put that on top. And what you do then, you can leave it open if there's no food scraps, and leave it open, the worms will make their way down into the fresh stuff. And when they do, you'll get this layer out, which it's already been eaten. It's got all these been broken down, worm castings, and you get this out and you can use it on your garden. And then you're left with this one, the worms are already in that one. So some people say, I have a kilo of worms, I can feed them a kilo of food. It's not right. There's people out there, keyboard warriors, will pull their hair out, jump up and down. I don't really care. How I know? I've learned by killing worms. I've experimented on them, right? This is how we all learn. If you get 1,000 worms, which I'll be giving away today, 250 grams roughly. That could be more than 1,000, some are babies, okay? If I fed them 100 grams of food, they go through. As they get bigger and they migrate, they're breeding, okay? Having eggs like in life, and they're expanding, yes, they'll start eating more. You'll see that. They'll start eating, if you think, geez, I just put that in there, it's been eaten this week. You might have to feed them every second day, depending what you feed them. Okay? So, if you get 250 grams of worms, you're not going to get 250 grams of feed. No one weighs the feed. I've never seen anyone that goes and feeds, 250 grams of worm, they must have a lot of time on their hands. Normally just chuck it in, shut it, and go back inside and watch TV. So, as I said, corner feed them. Feed this corner 1 week, next week. By then, the worms make their way around. The main importance, if you put a whole layer of food in there, it's like a hot blanket, right? It's like your partner keeps kicking the blanket on you all night in the middle of summer, and you keep kicking it back, you overheat. That's what the worm's doing, right? So even if you fed half the worm bin, half of this food, you have to allow room for them to escape. So they'll take off. So they'll live on this side, away from the heat. When the heat breaks down, it cools down, the microbes come, cools everything down, they'll move into the food. The worms are very, very smart. They know when to multiply, they know when to stop breeding, etc. They're actually quite a lot smarter than a lot of humans I know. All right. So you get the feeding, you get the moisture, what to feed them, what not to feed them. If you forget, you can comment in the comments, ask me. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong for some stuff. Okay. As I said, what I'm going to start doing is making more videos, because in worm farming, we breed worms. There's only so much you can put on. But I've got a lot of knowledge, and I want to share it with you viewers, and people have asked me. Now, each week I can do different episodes of worm farming, feeding, etc. There's so many subjects. Okay. Now, if you're still with me, okay, if you haven't switched off by now, you can like, subscribe, push the notification bell. It helps to grow the channel, more views, etc. Doesn't make you a millionaire, just helps build my channel up. And hopefully one day I can go somewhere to another worm farm, and get more experience and show you out there what you don't see on YouTube and stuff. All right. Now, getting back to the most important thing, if you're still with me. As I said, I'm wearing this for a reason. Okay, maybe see that. I reckon it's quite nice. That crazy worm down there. Okay, now you're going to be in Australia to get the worms. You have to like or comment on there, okay? Subscribe if you want, it's even better. I'm trying to grow my channel. The key word today to win these worms, and the first person to get the answer right, okay, And I've got small little prizes apart from worms, maybe some garden gloves, etc. I can post to you. They're not worth a lot of money, but a gift is a gift. Okay. The key word today is evergreens garden care. Evergreens garden care. You're the first one to comment that, and you live in Australia. I'm sending the worms your way, free of charge, and pay for postage a lot. So I think you're getting a good deal. So thank you for watching my episode today. And once again, thank you for Evergreens Garden Care, Karen, for doing the workshop. Much appreciated. I hope I've covered everything today in as quickly as I can. If you want more videos about this, comment what type of videos you'd like me to do. I can do. Okay? And yes, all right. Thanks for your time. Stay safe. Love your loved ones. And keep on worm farming. And one worm farm a day keeps the doctor away, they reckon. All right. Cheers. Thank you.